Good afternoon all, my name is Dejana Mutavdžin, I'm from Faculty of Music, University of Arts in Belgrade, and today I'm going to discuss with you art education within the framework of self-regulated learning. So let's start. It's often stated in the literature that one of the key roles of education is to prepare students to become active participants in modern societies. By that, we often mean that they are supposed to have critical thinking skills, that they need to be lifelong learners, that they have to have proactive approach when it comes to acquiring new knowledge, but also those critical skills needed to navigate their way through the sea of information that are available to them, and also for them to have a proactive approach when it comes to their community and the society in which they are living. So it's no surprise that education needs to be improved, and in this quest of improving the quality of our education, some authors state that self-regulated learning is regarded as holy grail. This doesn't come as a surprise if we know that in most sources that are tackling the topic of self-regulated learning, there has been stressed the connection between self-regulated learning and academic achievement. Academic achievement on all three levels of education and also in various domains. Artistic education and domain within it being among them. Also, that connection between academic achievement and self-regulated learning sometimes is correlational, but also sometimes causational. Also, when it comes to those students who are more active in applying self-regulated learning strategies, it has been observed that they are more prone to seek help from those important others, meaning teachers, parents and their peers, and that they profit more from learning experiences. Researches conducted during the COVID-19 pandemic also have shown us that those students who were more self-efficacious in applying self-regulated learning, they reported smaller level of learning-related stress. When it comes to artistic education, it's no news that it has been noted that practice itself is not enough. It's important how we practice, but also it's important how do we perceive the task, what do we think about ourselves, and how do we perceive our performance. So self-regulated learning is also seen as something that needs to be integrated in practice itself. And researches of the advanced musicians shows us that this is one of the ways to go. Those researches among the musicians also shows us that self-regulated learning and those students who were more prone to apply self-regulated learning skills, they believe more strongly in their abilities to succeed in the task at hand. They are more determined into pursuing their learning goals. They also spend more time practicing, and during that practice they also more heavily apply metacognitive and self-awareness strategies, and also they apply a wider range of strategies during that performance. So it doesn't come as a surprise that some of the authors think that self-regulated learning is inherent to musical education itself. When it comes to our teaching practice, we also might notice the importance of self-regulated learning. If we look into our students' lifestyles, we can see that they are a bit complex and dynamic. Some of our students are maybe spending more time abroad than at their home country, and because of those professional but maybe some personal obligations, they need to skip some classes. Those professional obligations might be attending some master classes, participating in projects, or maybe even spending some time on concert tours. Also, some of our students are not talented only in one artistic domains. So some of them are also attending different programs in our home institutions, but some of them also on other institutions in country or abroad, and some even are talented in different domains that maybe are not directly linked with art. So all of those students are expected to rely more than the others on their ability to organize their learning process. Also, educational realities, some of them affecting more globally educational community, but also those that are more local when it comes to the area, but universal when it comes to the values and the rights for which they are fighting, like student blockage in Serbia, also place greater responsibility on students who are not spending that much time in their traditional educational environments, and that responsibility concerns their practicing and staying in shape. So, as you can see, self-regulated learning is very important to grasp and to foster in our students. It's by no means a new concept, and we might even expect that our students have developed self-regulated learning strategies to a high extent, but there is a high probability that most of our students didn't have explicit training when it comes to applying these strategies. Also, some of the traditional models when it comes to the teacher-student relationships, like a master-apprentice, that is characteristic and that is present in music education, is something that also doesn't go hand in hand with self-regulated learning and being more proactive when it comes to obtaining control on your learning process. So, having all this in mind, it doesn't come as a surprise that it is important to further encourage teachers to foster self-regulated learning skills in their students. And this lecture presents a small contribution to that endeavor. This lecture is situated around the works of eminent authors like Barry Zimmerman, also works of authors like Ernesto Panadero and Jesus Alonso-Tapia, but also from on works of those authors from the areas of non-academic giftedness like Gary McPherson, Peter Miksha, Dora Utermolde-Queiroz, Clarissa Folletto, and Guadalupe Lopez Iniguez. So, why don't we define self-regulated learning? We've been talking about it, its importance and the challenges in its implementation, but we didn't say what is it. According to Zimmerman and Moylan, at its core, self-regulated learning involves students taking systematic control over their learning process and on the course of attaining their personal learning goals. That systematic control includes control over their motivation, their cognition, their behavior, and their emotions. How it's been done? Well, by applying personal strategies. So, according to this, you can infer that self-regulated learning is a proactive process in its core. And it's about mastering one's own learning process. According to Zimmerman, it's not only about those self-directive processes, but also it involves self-beliefs that allow learners to transform their mental abilities, such as musical aptitude, into concrete learning academic skills like playing violin. So there are many models of self-regulated learning and they all have some similarities, such as they all point to multiple interrelated processes and that the performance of one task feeds into the subsequent performance of that same or similar tasks. But despite these similarities, there are some important differences among them, and since this is really a short lecture intended to provide you only an overview of self-regulated learning, today I'm going to depict you Zimmerman's cyclical model of self-regulated learning. I chose this one model because it's one of the most comprehensive and one of the most referred in scientific literature. For those of you who are interested to see what else there is when it comes to self-learning, self-regulated learning models, you are more than welcome to explore works of Panadero, who give a short description of most of them, but also it needs to be said that this is not the only Zimmerman's model. And for all of you who are interested in the social origins of the processes that we are going to talk about, I invite you to learn more about his multi-level model of self-regulation. So, about cyclical model, it needs to be said that it had 3 iterations, and I'm going to present you today to me known as the last iteration, the model devised by Zimmerman and Moylan in 2009. But even though it's the latest version, it's not without its critics. So for those of you who want to learn more about some of the challenges that have been noted when it comes to this model, I recommend you to read the work of Panadero and Alonso-Tapia, where some of those challenges have been highlighted. So, Zimmerman's cyclical model of self-regulated learning is grounded in social cognitive theory, and it stresses the role of motivation in self-regulation processes. It consists of 3 cyclical phases, and I'm going to present you those phases shortly, and then we are going to dive into each of them and to open the space for discussing the space for teacher to intervene. Afterwards, we are going to list some of the possible interventions that can be applied in the artistic education in order for you to foster your students as self-regulated learners. So, Zimmerman model, as I said, has 3 phases: forethought, performance, and self-reflection. Forethought is the initial phase, the first phase, the phase when the stage is being set. It takes place before the performance itself. In this phase, the task has been analyzed, the goals have been set, the task is analyzing, the goals are setting, also the approach is being planned, and also the motivational beliefs and strategies, behavioral strategies that are appropriate for learning are being activated. So when it comes to the performance phase, which is next, it takes place, as you can imagine, it takes place during the performance itself. So the plan that's been devised into the forethought phase now is being executed. But it's not only about the execution of the plan. In the performance phase, the pupil or the person who is performing is also observing what he or she has been doing, and also is applying some self-control strategies in order for him or her to maintain concentration and motivation and interest. And finally, in the last phase, which is self-reflection phase, students are thinking about, students are evaluating their performance and also attributing causes of success and failure when it comes to this performance. The decisions and those conclusions that they take from this phase affect their motivation and their self-regulation in the subsequent or the upcoming tasks. So this was, in a nutshell, Zimmerman's cyclical model, and now we are going to take a closer look at each of those phases. So when it comes to the forethought phase, the initial one, when a student is approaching the task, he or she is analyzing the requirements of the task, maybe asking oneself a question: how should I do this? How should I approach this task? And here you can see what teacher can do. Teacher at first can support students by when presenting some task. He or she can support the student by asking the question: how are you planning to approach it? And this opens spaces for reflecting on strategies that are going to be implemented. Also, in this phase, students are evaluating their capacity to succeed in this task. Also, they are setting goals and plans for completing it. When it comes to the plans, it's important to know that task interest and goal orientation are really important in shaping those plans. Goal orientation can be, you can see more about it in Alonso-Tapia's work, but here I'm going to refer on 3 goal orientation: learning, performing, or avoiding the task. Learning means that I want to do this task because it's important for me to learn something, to acquire some competencies that I can through this task. Performing means that I want to I want to do this task because it will help me to pass the exam, or I want to pass the exam just to pass it, or to pass it with flying colors. And avoidance means that I'm going to put more attention into how to find some creative ways to do, but to pass the exam, but maybe not to put as much effort as I would into when it comes to learning and performing. So these were goal orientations, and as I said, they are really important when it comes to shaping the planning and effective practice. Also, when a person is trying to define their goals, what is important is that the criteria for evaluating the task is transparent. It's known to the student, but also what important is the desired performance level that a student wants. So you can support your student in this process by making that evaluation criteria transparent, by saying it in advance, not letting students to infer it or to think about it or to wait for you to give the feedback. So transparent criteria is really important, and you should do that when you are presenting the task in this forethought phase, when a student is trying to define their goals and to devise a plan. In this phase, I said that students are also forming an understanding of tasks characteristics, how should it be approached, and they assess their personal values. you can use this. You can intervene in this phase because perceiving a task as useful enhances motivation and also enhances the probability of activating learning strategies. So you can support your student in this process by practically stating why this task is important when presenting it. You can also rely on the information that you know about your students and maybe link the task with their interests, so you can use it as a motivator, or you can just ask your students, why do you think this task is important? How it will benefit you and your artistic development. Those are all questions that can spark interest and then can affect motivation and activation of learning strategies. In Zimmerman model, also for this forethought phase, it's important to know that motivation arises, when it comes to Zimmerman model, motivation arises from the interaction of 5 variables. One of them being self-efficacy expectations, which are beliefs about one's own capability to perform tasks successfully. Also outcome expectations, which is beliefs about the likelihood of achieving success, task value, interest, and also goal orientation, which I mentioned. So, how can you support your students in this phase? Well, I said that self-efficacy expectations and outcome expectations are also are among the variables. So you can support your student by choosing the task that you are presented and that you are going to give them more carefully, to tailor the task according to their educational needs, to tailor it so it represents the next developmental step that they need to take, to place it in the zone of proximal development, in their zone of proximal development. If you fail to do so, and if you are going to give them the task that is in the zone of their future development, the task is going to be too frustrating for them. If you are giving them the task that is in their zone of actual development, that they can do quite easily, it also won't have the desired motivational effect. So this means that you also need to be careful when devising the task that you need, that you are going to give your students, because that also has motivational effects. This is all I had planned for presenting the forethought phase. So now we are going to the performance phase, which is the second in Zimmerman cyclical model, the phase where the performance is actually taking place. The plan that's been devised in the forethought phase is being executed, and when students are carrying the task, maintaining focus, but also sustaining motivation and monitoring progress toward their learning goal is something that's really important. Two processes that Zimmerman and Moylan stress in this phase are self-observation and self-control. When it comes to self-observation, that means that a person needs, during the performance phase itself, but also there is a possibility to do that afterwards, to evaluate the effectiveness and the appropriateness of the strategies that are being implemented, so that he or she can evaluate it whether they are he or she is going in the right direction or some adjustments need to take place. In this self-observation, during this self-observation process, self-monitoring is something that's quite important, which means monitoring one's own performance while it's taking place, because that leaves some space for making some alterations and to intervene while the performance is taking place itself. The second is self-recording, and it takes place after the performance, which means documenting the actions that have been taken during the performance itself. According to Zimmerman and Moylan, there are 8 strategies when it comes to taking self-control over this phase. So Panadero and Alonso-Tapia, they divide these 8 strategies into 2 groups. First group is that group of strategies that are employed by students in order for them to maintain concentration, and among them they recognize some specific strategies that are related to task. They explicitly state that maybe highlighting some areas of text in order to support learning might be some of those task-specific strategies. Also, self-instruction, imaginary, like using mental images in order to organize the learning process, to maybe focus attention, but also to raise motivation and support learning, and memorization is among those strategies that they recognize as important to maintaining concentration. Time management is also something that is really important, and it involves keeping an overview of all those elements of the tasks that needs to be performed. Having a structured learning environment is also important, because it's not the same if I'm learning into a noisy environment, into a noisy classroom, or if the person sitting next to me is constantly doing something that is keeping me away from the task at hand or listening. And at the end, seeking help when needed is also among those 6 strategies that are meant to be applied for maintaining concentration. The last 2 strategies of those 8 that I mentioned are intended for maintaining motivation and interest, and they encompass sending yourself motivational messages that remind you of the goal and of the challenge that you are facing, and also rewarding yourself and self-praising yourself when you do something that has been successful or good. But here I want to point your attention that those strategies, while a student is still in the process of becoming self-regulated learner, they don't need to be applied by student on his or her own. You can support them by praising during the performance itself. This was good, and explaining why that was good. So you can somehow foster that strategies to be applied by student, practically to be internalized by students. And this leads us to the final phase in Zimmerman and Moylan's model, which is the self-reflection phase. Self-reflection phase, as I already mentioned, it takes place after the performance has been done, and it means that students are evaluating their performance, and they also make some conclusions about the causes of their success or failure. That's important, as I already mentioned, because that affects motivation and their behavior in the upcoming, in the next cycle of performing the task. So, self-evaluation is being done by comparing what has been done with the criteria set by the teacher, but also with personal performance goals. So here we once again turn to the need to those criteria for evaluation are transparent and that are known in advance, so that student can after the performance draw some conclusions whether the performance has satisfied that criteria or not. And what also is important is to leave space for students to think about their performance and to learn from their mistakes. When it comes to causal attributions or the explanations we give to our success or failures, they can be placed in the ability, like I have succeeded because I'm so talented, or I failed because I'm not that talented, or I succeeded because it was my lucky day, or this wasn't my lucky day. I succeeded. Effort is also one of the explanations that can be employed. So I succeeded because I put a lot of effort in this, or I failed, but let's face it, I didn't practice. Or also some external support might be one of the reasons why we explain how we explain to ourselves the reasons for our success or failure. They are important because they trigger emotions and cognitions that affect our future motivation and expectation for the future task. So what is expected of teachers is to help your students to learn how to interpret their success and failures as possibilities for growth and not as something that's terminal. So how do you do that? By referring in your feedback to the effort, not to the abilities, not to the luck, not to external support, by referring to effort. So you succeeded in this, you did this good, and to provide explanation why this has been good. This wasn't as good as we expected, and provide explanation why it wasn't good as expected. But that explanation needs to be rooted in the effort. You did this good, so you see, I see that you've put a lot of practice between these practice sessions. I see that you followed the advice that I gave you while practicing. So effort needs to be something that's stressed. If you refer in your feedback to the abilities, then you prevent students for putting effort as they might have been put. Because if you say somebody that it's been good, you must be super talented for this, what do you expect that it's going to happen? Or or something that it's not recommendable, at least. But if you say that somebody just isn't for arts, by referring that person doesn't have enough talent or abilities to do that job, you are basically preventing them, not preventing, but you're working that they devise the feeling that they're not up for that, and there is a possibility that that person will put less and less effort in the future for developing the abilities that he or she might develop. So until now we've been discussing Zimmerman's phase in his cyclical model of self-regulated learning, and I've been speaking about some specific actions that you can take in each of these phases. Some of the authors, like Dora Utermol-de and her co-authors, they have made a distinction between those self-regulation direct instructions and those self-regulation tools that can be applied hand in hand with direct instructions by teachers. So let's see what they are. When it comes to self-regulation direct instructions, in some research that Utermol-de and her colleagues have been describing in their work. There is a mentioning of giving the instruction about practicing strategies, with also giving the instruction on self-regulated learning principles. You can do that in person, or you can do that by applying some instructional videos. Also, you can give information about some possible practicing strategies to your student, and afterwards you can leave some space for discussing them, discussing each of these strategies and discussing the challenges that emerged on the course on that way. Also, you can use something which is more sequential. Why you can choose some quite challenging or difficult task while you are presenting it. You can apply cognitive or live modeling. You can model the recognition of the challenge, you can model the selection of strategy, and you can model the application of the strategy. And afterwards, you can leave your student to practice what they've seen. That practice can be guided, or you can guided by you, or you can leave your students to practice in smaller groups. Also, you can use the following thing. You can name the strategy that you're going to apply in the lesson. You can verbally describe it, you can model it, and afterwards you can leave your students to practice, but that practice must be guided. Also, you can support your students in the process of evaluation by providing them with clear evaluation criteria, by supporting them to apply that criteria and to practice that in a safer environment with with other colleagues. Also, you can provide them feedback on the criteria, on the self-evaluation process that they have been performed, and afterwards you can use this knowledge that they have acquired in formulating their goals. These are some of those direct instructions that have been mentioned in some of the works that those authors that I mentioned have been summarized. There are also some self-regulated tools that you might find useful. So I'm going to also name some of them, but bear in mind that those self-regulation tools must be applied with direct instructions also. So there is a mention of applying practice schedules. Also, there is a possibility to video record the performance, and to leave space for students to discuss it afterwards with the teacher, or maybe to leave space for the student to self-evaluate that recording on him or on her own. Also, weblog can be used for those reflections after the performance. There are some self-reporting tools that can be used, so a student can report about the strategies that have been applied, about also make from a list it can take which of the strategies he or she has been applying in that specific practice session. You can also encourage your student to narrate the process of planning, of taking actions, and also the thoughts during the practice, and at the beginning, of course. Also, journaling can be one of the tools that can be used. So students can use, for example, that has been given in one of the research presented. Students can use those journals to plan their actions and to to plan their actions, to set their goals, but afterwards they can discuss the video materials with their teachers. Also, there has been mentioned that one of the tools can be just describing the strategies that can be applied and describing, giving the instructions of how these practice strategies can be applied and giving it to your students as handouts. And finally, there is in later years there are some digital tools that are available to students and teachers to be applied in this process. There are some electronic portfolios and also there are some digital apps that have self-regulated learning support when it comes to, that provide support to become self-regulated learner in the process of musical practicing. So when it comes to research, to turn to them once more, they indicate that teachers who are more motivated to apply self-regulated learning strategies. So research shows that those teachers that are more motivated to foster self-regulated learning in their students have some shared commonalities. Some of them being that their pedagogical beliefs are more aligned with self-regulation theory. They possess strong sense of agency. They actively apply self-regulated learning when it comes to their work and their learning, and also when it comes to their work they are reflective practitioners and willing to experiment. So instead concluding, I would invite you all to reflect on your practice, to think about how much of those things that have been mentioned in this short lesson have you been applying in your teaching practice, and to invite you to be courageous and experiment with some of these ideas that have been shared today. Thank you for your attention. For those of you who are willing to explore this topic in more depth, I once again recommend you works of Zimmerman, of course of Ernesto Tapia and Ernesto Panadero and Alonso-Tapia. And for those of you who want to explore this topic in more depth in Serbian, I warmly recommend you the video made by my colleague Milan Stančić, which is also online available. Thank you for your attention. Izgurali smo.